Hi, I'm Greg Ayres, and this is the Absolution Network.
Lads and lasses, my name is Neas, son of Hammercall, the splitter of shields, the favourite son of Skyrim, general of the Stormcloaks, and apologies, the defiler of virgins apparently, but I am here at this grand festivity known to you and me all as AnimeNEXT, and they told me, Neas, come here today and tell the people why it's so grand to be here at AnimeNEXT, but do not just take my word for it, you should take the lovely lads and lasses of it. So people of AnimeNEXT, shall we begin? Yeah! And that, people of the web, and it's not actually a web, apologies, the people who are watching this, that is why AnimeNEXT is, I believe the term is, epic.
Yeah, Toonami's back, bitches. Wait, did you say Toonami's back, bitches? That's the official hashtag if you missed it. To celebrate time's return to television. Welcome to the anime action fan sanctuary, with Tom providing that slick commentary. The other king of television besides Mary, full of new shows and classics on the itinerary.
I am Thomas Primetime Match from the Absolution Network. It's been 5 years since I've seen you live from
definitely.
MetroCon.
Yeah.
I was for those who remember, I was the guy, the first year I got to see Greg, I was the annoying guy when he was showing Negi.
Yeah. So that's funny.
And of course all the drama that came with MetroCon. So I've been waiting about 4 years to finally get to interview you. So.
Great. Well, it could finally happen.
And my first question is, let's talk about some anime and let's talk about the character everybody wants to talk to you about. Okay, can you guess what that character is?
No, I can take a wild guess. I mean, I would say this year it should be Gante Igarashi from Dead Man Wonderland because it was the breakout show on Toonami.
Yeah.
However, if you ask, 14 to 16-year-old girls, they're probably going to say one of the Hitachi twins in Oran, but I think it's different for everybody. I think everybody has a different favorite character.
Well, actually, the character, it's none of those characters. It's probably the best character you ever performed, and that's Taikaya Abe from Big Wind Up.
Yeah, Abe's a great character. It's really weird. It's hard to say something's my best character. I think shows hit people on a personal level, and it was weird because when we did Dead Man Wonderland, people were like, "Oh, this is the best thing you've ever done. This is far better than Chrono Crusade." I'm like,
What?
Really? I don't think so. So I think people that show, that baseball show, really hits people in a different way because there are people that have grown up with baseball, and so. I like that Abe is such a mean guy, and he never lets up. We joke about the fact that he never smiles once in the show, and we finally found one instance where he kind of goes, and that's about it. So I love that character because I normally play the Mihashi character. So
it was very different from the characters you usually play. So in that sense, what was your preparation for that series?
This is going to probably blow the illusion for some people. I hate sports. The passion. So, I'm an individual sports person. I'm a skateboarder. So, things like skateboarding and, like extreme sports, BMX, things like that. Those are cool to me, but like competitive sports are not my thing. So the funnier thing was me having to learn baseball terminology. And I guess watching me trying to learn baseball stuff was like watching most people cramming for a medical exam because I was like... What? Because Abe's the guy that knows everything. He's the catcher, and he knows what every player's going to do. He knows the name of every move, every pitch. So that was the hardest for me. But the coolest thing about that is my little nephews all play ball. So that's the coolest thing I've ever done, according to them. Dragon Ball Z, whatever, but Big Wind Up. Oh yeah, it's a baseball show. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I think the hardest thing, the biggest preparation for me was just getting familiar with baseball itself. I mean, I obviously have a fundamental knowledge of how the game works, but I don't know what the difference between running somebody or walking somebody or all. So I was just like, all right, here we go. But that said, I watched the show and Abe doesn't seem dumb, so I guess if I didn't learn anything, I at least talked the talk pretty well. So, but it was a fun show. It's really sad. I'm really sad we're not dubbing the second season of it, but. Apparently the sales just weren't what they were supposed to be. So hopefully, I'm hoping the streaming market might change that. That shows hope for a lot of shows. So yeah. Any questions about Abe?
Well, honestly, you hit it right on the head about it. Again, and the other part of the question was probably what was working like with everybody, because you had multiple characters. The third baseman that was me when I was 13 years old, especially talking about what he would talk about.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's one of Todd's funniest characters. I think it was fun for me listening to the outfield. Mainly, I'll be honest, my guilty pleasure was listening to Aaron Dismuke, because it's the first show Aaron was allowed to just be himself. Aaron was the voice of, Alphonse Elric, so poor thing is going to be trapped into that role for the rest of his life. Lucky for him, his voice changed. So if somebody's like, do that Alphonse line, he's like, no, I can't. My voice doesn't sound like that. But hearing him in that show is just like hearing Aaron in the studio. Like when you hear him say something in the show, it's just funny because it's like there's a show with Aaron in it. The character sounded like Aaron, but really there's a lot of great standout performances. Like I think people always say that show is about Mihashi and Abe, but it's a great team show. There's a lot of great characters in the outfield. Joel McDonald is hysterical. I think Justin Cook steals his show. Justin Cook is the hothead. But there's a lot of really great performances in that show, so I really enjoyed doing it. It seems like a long time ago. And that's also a weird show because that's the one, I had a big medical emergency and that was the show they were waiting on me to recover from to finish the show. So that's the first show I did back after being laid up for a while. So it's kind of cool. That was my first training wheels back in after being in the hospital. So yeah.
Well, you talked about a couple minutes ago one of the shows we're about to talk about, which is Nerma Brothers. Mm-hmm. Just an absolute classic, great comedy where basically you were part of the Blues Brothers.
Yeah,
in this case, it was the Blues Brothers plus one.
Yeah, I always say the Blues Brothers and Excel Saga had a baby. It would be, Jeremy Dicon Brothers.
It literally was. It was the big three of ADV at the time, which I think most people considered you, Chris Patton, and Lucy Christian, just letting loose and tearing the world up.
It was really fun.
So, what was your favorite achievement on Nerma Brothers?
It's a really weird silent victory. My brother is the director for that show. And going back as far as when I did theater, there's always this weird worry of nepotism. When you have a brother that's a director or producer or whatever, there's the stigma that, he gave his brother the lead. Well, so when my brother used to direct stage plays and I had to audition, I would only audition when there were public auditions, and I'd walk in, sing the Opie Superstar, which is Judas's big, just loud number, and I'd walk out. Because I'm like, look, I'll prove to you that I can sing this, that I'm not getting any favors, my brother's not doing me a favor by doing this. And to think that my brother would do that would say, I don't think my brother's a good director. My brother's a fantastic director, and there have been several parts that I wanted that I didn't get. That said, when you work in anime, you get pigeonholed into one type of category, and it's safe to say that for the first 10 years of my career, I never played anybody that had even hit puberty. So, I play little 9-year-old kids, I play little 12-year-old kids, little awkward kids, and I love it. But when this role came up, Chris had a really tough choice to make. The role of Hideki is sung, it was actually in Japan, was sung by a pop singer, a well-known pop singer. The guy has a ridiculously deceptive high voice. And I always say it is the kind of voice that Rod Stewart has. You hear the gravel in Rod Stewart's voice and you think, man, he's got a low voice. Rod Stewart has got an unbelievably high voice. And that was the problem with casting Hide. You had to have somebody that had that, that foghorn, leghorn, Fred Flintstone sensibility, but could still sing a high C over C, could really hit these ridiculous notes. So my brother cast me, and our auditions for that show, I think I had to sing Rock This Town by the Stray Cats, which was funny, because I was like, yeah, I'll go sing a Stray Cats song for an audition. And when he cast me, the producer for the show is like, I'm going to go ahead and pull the rug out from under you. You're not going to be able to use your brother on the show. And he's like, are you kidding me? And he goes, no, I get that you like to see him work and all, but, and he goes, no, dude, I would never do that. And there's this big fight, and he goes, your brother can't do that role. And he goes, where are we going to find an actor that can sing that role? He's like, you have no one here that can sing those notes. And he's like, well, Chris Patton can. He goes, no, Chris Patton is a low tenor. He's like, this is a high tenor. He goes, well, the character has a scratchy voice. And my brother argued. He's like, no, that's just the gravel in his voice. It has nothing to do with how high his voice is. And he goes, well, I mean, your brother just can't handle the talking part of it. And my brother won him over by saying, have you ever heard my little brother hungover? He's like, he sounds like Wolfman Jack. He's like, have you ever heard him on a bad day? He's like, when he's just no voice. And so the funny thing is, I didn't like the direction they pushed me vocally in the show until I heard it with everybody else, until I heard Lucy and Chris and all of us together. I thought it sounded like I was screaming. Lucy hated what she was doing. She thought she sounded like a hillbilly. Chris thought he was whispering. And then when we got all of us together, we were like, oh, that's kind of funny. That works in a weird way. The producer finally came up to me much later, and I never knew this whole controversy had taken place because my brother knew it would upset me, so he didn't make a big deal about it or tell me about it. And the director was like, gotta apologize to you. And I was like, okay, for what? And he's like, you know, I didn't want you to do this role, and that's not a secret. And I was like, okay. You know, like, that's a weird thing to have somebody say to you. And he went on to tell me the story, and he's like, I was wrong. And he goes, I'll never doubt your brother again. He's like, you were the right person for this part. So that's the biggest thing to me, is someone not believing I could do something, and then having that person not only believe that I could do it, but felt strongly enough to tell me like they were sorry later. That said, it's one of the funniest things I've ever worked on. I think Ghost Stories is the only thing funnier than that. And
Cameo Mel Gibson.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and now, like, it was the beginning of a long relationship between my brother and Nabashin and myself, and we're all very, very dear friends. And I don't think without that show we would have gotten to be that tight. So it's funny. I just did a show in Nabashin last weekend, and it's safe to say nothing's changed with Nabashin in spite of recent health scares. He is the same good old crazy wild Nabashin. So.
Hi, this is Paul, Ure. You can find my work at ure.net and ureku.deviantart.com. I'm going to be attending Otakon in about, 2 months. This is all my work. I have a lot of commissions coming up that I'm putting out. I'm also working on some new art books, possibly comics.
You are not.
And make sure to check out my site and whatnot if you are interested in my work.
Hey there, anime fans, and yes, I am in an actual interview shot today as my computer goes blank. I'm, of course, your Primetime host, Thomas Primetime Menace, and this is another AnimeNEXT interview. I'm here, of course, with Uncle Yo, comedian extraordinaire. How are you today?
I'm grateful to be here.
I can tell you for a fact, Uncle Yo's stand-up, you had a stand-up panel last night, right?
We last night was Anime One Night Stands, which ends up being rant than ever, but it's a quick guide of the 13 episode anime so you can watch in a single night. So the One Night Stand is a very misleading title, mainly because the first time that we did it was at Otakon, and they looked at the title and said, "Oh, it's not 18 plus. We'll put it against all the 18 plus stuff." So mistakenly, the name makes people think that we're going to do a hentai panel, but it shows like Shigofumi, Furikuri, Madoka, the shows with 13 or less episodes you can watch in a single night. So all the people who piled in were simply there because they couldn't get into the hentai panels that they want. So we loved having the entire audience filled with reluctant hentai spillover.
Oh, that's really dirty. I love you already.
Yeah. I just love coining the term hentai spillover because that is something that could be both greasy and sticky.
Right now, Gene and Chris are going, oh, no.
Yeah,
No,
I heard that.
No. Why, Thomas, why? But no, it was, I looked at the line. The line was from the panel room through that hall all the way down to the photo shoot right here. That's how long the line was, like, oh my God.
We gotta find a way to coordinate the lines better because it's like cholesterol and it's like a hallway of capillaries at this point.
Yeah.
No one can get anywhere.
Well, the first question I'm going to ask you is, being that anime is, again, the primary focus, of course you cover all of anime, what is the hardest part about doing comedy based off anime?
I've always been struggling with this bad boy. If I could contextualize this, I think I would find a way to just streamline my bits and be able to attack it better. I'm not the first person to try anime stand-up. Maybe I'm the first to try it on a longer scale. Like, actually, I thought it was ridiculous to actually ask for a panel just by myself because it takes comedians years to just get a solid 3 to 5 minutes that represents them. And I'm much more long-based, rant-based because I grew up on George Carlin. That's my guy. So I'm used to thinking bits are more, you play with an idea and you sculpt it out, you work on it more like it's a monologue. The hardest part about doing anime is knowing that no matter what jokes you go for, you are right now you are competing with the rest of the internet. In the 5-6 years I've been doing this, nothing has been more violently first come first serve than the internet jokes. Like when I've been following Attack on Titan. While I love that anime, the moment I jump on Facebook, here come the memes. Well, can't do any of these jokes. What can I do that hasn't been done? And the answer is really nothing. I completely understand that there must be somewhere out there. See, in the old generation, it used to be, oh, great minds think alike. Now that's become, Simpsons did it! Which was great because they had that South Park episode on yesterday, and all I could think of was, oh, you are my career. Oh, Dr. Horrible. And then Professor Chaos, why?
I've copied, parodied, and done more stuff that people have said already done. That's been my stick for 6 years, because isn't really the truth of the matter is it's not a matter of it has been done before, it's the performance.
What if you actually presented it well? How about that?
Exactly.
If you got the laugh and you were ignorant to the part that did it before, you still got the laugh, and if someone wants to correct you, that's good for them. That's what YouTube comments are for people to pretend to care.
Yeah. Pretend is, I think, the key word.
Yeah, I've started walking around with little note cards that read a rat's ass, a damn, a flying, what have you, and I hand those to people that I'm too tired to talk to. I give this to you. Bye. Yes.
Well, you mentioned one of them before, so we'll talk a little bit about him. But so the next question is, in regards to George Carlin being one of your inspirations, what are the certain things, certain bits, and sort of stand-ups of George Carlin that influence you the most, and what are your other inspirations in comedy?
The one for him that sticks with me is I got into an argument this morning with my Rice Krispies. I'm not sure which one of the little bastards said it. I wasn't looking into the bowl directly at the time, but I distinctly heard, snap, crackle, screw you, Whitey. He then goes into how the rest of the morning has to be spent spiting and punishing the disrespectful Rice Krispies. Hit him with a spoon and they come back over. This is a guy who could have come up and said, you ever notice how you press down a Rice Krispie and they come up around the side? You can't drown them. His idea is, what does it take to crush their spirit, to stop them from coming up against you. The fact that he did that, and the fact that he played with so much wordplay, or he would just have gigantic running lists. Here's a list of diseases that don't have practices or runs or wristbands, and maybe they should. Arm hurts, leg hurts, herpes. And it's 3 pages long in a book of just random things that can happen to you.
My favorite is, I'll run that one, airport safety rules. I play that over on YouTube. And of course, the difference between football and baseball is a classic. What?
Difference between baseball? They're waiting for it. Anyone under the age of 24 needs to know this.
Football is a gridiron sport. It is driven down the field militarily into an end zone plate in the stadium or a gridiron. Football, baseball, the object is to go home and be safe. I can't think it off the top of my brain. I've ruined.
Go home and be safe. Carlin worked for me because he was questioning language the same way that I was. I asked my mother one day, why is it that something can shrivel up and swell up, and they're going 2 opposite directions, but they're both going up? And her response was, shut up. So, but the thing was, that didn't answer my question. My problem was, I'm the little prince. I ask a question until I get the answer that I want to hear.
Yeah.
So you just keep going with that one.
And then your other comedic influences.
Rita Rutner, early days, had incredible timing and really worked with me. There was a key summer when I was like 12, 13 years old. I didn't know anyone in the neighborhood, so I simply stayed up watching as much early Comedy Central as possible, which it was a lot like the internet right now. There's 10% of awesome, and then the other 90% of well, at least Dr. Katz is animated by Muhammad Ali, but at least it's animated. I've got a half an hour before Bruno the Kid comes on, and then actual cartoons. I got to kill an hour and a half before Extreme Ghostbusters is on. So what do I do then? It was more incidental bits who I think is fascinating. There are great comedians today who they become mega celebrities because of their work in the underground. Of course, Patton Oswalt, people like Eugene Merman, Brian Posehn. That whole sort of A-list that only became the A-list because they were willing to challenge and tackle standards of comedy and how they wanted to approach things. I think Maria Bamford is one of the most scarily honest people out there because she simply talks about her working through her obsessive compulsive disorder. And as nutty and crazy as her voices are, you realize this is the only way she can function and tell us what her anxieties are. And I love the honesty behind that.
Well, would you also say maybe a little bit of D.L. Hughley? Because, one of your bits that you do is you do look at the cosplay and sort of make fun of it, which to me that screams D.L. Hughley. Is that something?
Never listened to Hughley.
You've never listened to Hughley?
Yeah. There are many key people that I've never that I think have almost been defined by being outside of the mainstream. Like, I never saw a Quentin Tarantino movie until I was 25, and the girl I was dating at the time said, "You have to watch this to be an American." And I said, "Screw you! You have to watch Back to the Future, or I can't sleep with you anymore."
I mean, well,
neither happened.
If you get a chance, do watch, because that's what he does at the end of his business. He goes in the audience and he'll pick on that, like, look at that woman. She's got a Jerry curl, a pink weave, and a little girl all in one. Which it's.
When we saw Louis C.K., who is the new form and norm now, and thank goodness for it. When we saw him live, so his opening act bombed because he was clearly the only black guy in the square block, even within the theater. So he gets off. Louis storms out on stage. It's 7:07. Sit your ass down, you. What is wrong with you? Well, oh, I had a cab. I had a. Screw you. All these people sitting down is proof that you are an idiot. Sit down. It said 7 o'clock in the panel. 7 o'clock in your program. What? He just started attacking. He just decided to point at whoever was standing, rubbing their ass in someone's face, and then he started his bit. When I last saw him live, he came on after Sir Elton John did an open. Sir Elton John comes on. He's an opening act, and he does like "Hold Me Closer, Tiny." No, he does I guess that's why they call it the blues. Greatest painful love stories of all time. No one's talking. They're all talking during it. Louis C.K. stands up there. Oh yeah, you're gonna shut up for me while you just spoke through 7 minutes of Elton John. Really? You just have to be fearless at some point.
Oh, absolutely. So, in regards to doing comedy, what's maybe one of the biggest laughs you got?
The biggest of recent memory, I resurrected the manga emoticons at AnimeNEXT. I think one of my last AnimeNEXT I was here, which I have the Intensity Alliance for Shonen, which is a anime geared toward teenage boys, and then the eye sparkles for anything shoujo girly. And I was going back and I was playing with it back and forth, and it nailed it of Darth Vader intense, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, Twilight, actual bleeping vampires. And this was right when the internet attacked Twilight, just sank their teeth into it, and went at it the way actual vampires are supposed to. They love that. But the most surprising big laughs that I'm getting now are when I'm doing something with my girlfriend who's shorter than me. She's adorable. Everyone thinks that she's still 16, just this quiet little innocent thing in a Lolita. But she tacks on the most inappropriate endings to something. So if I'm running off on a sentence and I just end it, if I end it with anything remotely weird or innuendo, she will go for it as soon as I'm done talking about it. What was the panel or the event? I eventually ended with something like, and then you shove them in the tub, waterboard them if need be, shove them back out in the hallway, and let them figure it out for themselves. Well, that went weird, and then Kat says, and that's how we met.
Bravo. What bits that you do are your favorite?
What's hardest is I don't think I can continue doing a bit for more than 6 or 7 months. A, because it's probably already been memed out to death. It's probably no longer popular. And this is the hardest part that I have about trying to be an in-the-moment niche-specific, let alone anime-specific comedian. I can still do some DBZ or some Sailor Moon bits, which I appreciate, but I'm never doing a bit more than 6 or 9 months because the references either have to be rewritten or rechanged, which means I'm really playing a Mad Lib at that point, which where's the skill intact in that? So I'm spending the next year, I've told myself I want to do more generic geek stand-up that is more the geek's role in society or the passionate, closed-off individual trying to communicate with the rest of the world that both forced to see each other as the invading idiot. The bits that I absolutely love on George Carlin's last CD, Life is Worth Losing, the one that I had basically committed to memory. He had done I'm a modern man, a man for the millennium, digital and smoke-free, a diversified multiple. I'm an alpha male on beta blockers. I have a love child that sends me hate mail. This huge contradicting rant of what it means to be modern America. So I had done that, but the way to gauge the audience was like I outran Speed Racer while Astro Boy chased her just for the record of Lodos War. And I listened for whatever woos or screams out. Because anime fans will tell you what they want you to talk about. They will tell that right back to you. So if you can play with that, like I'm trying to work on I'm going to be experimenting with a bit later today about how Pokemon is like dating. We'll play with it.
Dating in the sense of the way the Mormons do?
It's much more based on... Yeah, I'm not ambidextrous. I'm a polygamous masturbator. That's the better form for it.
Yeah.
The metaphor for Pokemon is going to be much more. You start dating, everyone has like one little thing, which is something weird with her hair. Oh, she's got a really doesn't have a car. Okay, but then as you get older, people just have way more problems around their belt, and you just think, all right, here we go. That tattoo is ancient. Okay, here's it going. I'm not sure what that scar is. Oh, there's a kid in the back seat. And then some people are like Ash with Pikachu just like wearing their narcissism on their shoulder. Like, can you put that away while we talk about it? No, he won't like that. He does not go in the wall. You have to deal with him if you want to deal with me. We'll play with that. We'll see. I don't know. We have to talk it out and take our time with that. And I love having hour-long slots because I can I can take my time with something. Some cases I'm better talking and thinking on my feet, but in other cases I can take up the whole hour, which I don't want to because I do want time afterward to shake hands, thank people for coming, make that key eye contact that thanks them.
Mm-hmm. Well, final question is, do you see yourself as a pioneer for both anime comedians and internet comedians?
No.
Bye, folks. Good night.
I think anyone on the internet doing comedy is taking advantage of the time, and that everyone has the chance now to get their voices out. But it's like a flashlight at high noon. Mm-hmm. Where's everyone going to be looking if there's light all over the place? if you are smart enough and you can garner and cater and take care of and support and have an open communication with a small group of fans, and they really care about what you're doing, and you're speaking to them in a way that they wish they could communicate to other people. So instead, they pass your work to other people. You do the Amanda Palmer circuit. You rely on them in such a weird hobo-like way that they love and appreciate you and see you as an extended member of their family. So the hope is when you try for other projects, it can kind of spread out that way. But I cheat as a comedian. I'm fully aware that I cheat as a comedian because my audience is dressed as what they want me to talk about. My audience comes ready to talk about what I'm willing to talk about. I go to an anime convention because these are the people I can communicate with better. I'm so much happier talking with a group of kids about Adventure Time than I ever am sitting down at a job interview, or needing to talk to someone as manager of a restaurant, or needing to talk to my landlord, or needing to talk to one of my sisters. It's so much easier, and I do it because I love it. I love the scene. I love the group. It's the things that I want to talk about. Pioneering, if anything, I simply ran to my my safety corner. The conventions are really safe zones for me to talk about what I want to and how I want to talk about it. But the only thing that I've seen that's kept me going, as well as other great guys out there like Plus Do Comedy, is that I approach it all from a positive standpoint. I've seen a lot of startup comedians start up with, what's this anime stuff? I mean, what the hell? Versus, but this is why we love it. This is why this thing is so neat. If I approach everything from a positive and a curious standpoint, everyone else stays with you on the page, as opposed to setting up a wall of, you guys are weird, as opposed to, we own this room now! We're safe here. Have fun, damn it.
So, being Seinfeld, the anime comedian, doesn't work.
It never will. I can't do an open mic and for 5 minutes start up with, you guys think the Pokemon world has sex offenders? Because they'll laugh because they heard the Pokemon, but then I'm just like, then it's just an episode of the Big Bang Theory. Which will never work.
Well, Uncle Gil, thank you for spending some time with us.
My pleasure.
For us and with us, because I don't speak English. I don't know if you've heard that. I can't tell a gridiron from a diamond.
I was going to say your Swahili needs work.
Yeah. That too. I would go there, but we're a PG-13 show. Makes things funny, doesn't it?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's my absolute pleasure for stepping in.
Thank you. And guys, we'll be back with another interview.
That's it for AnimeNEXT 2013. See you next year.
Well, that about does her. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Tom, signing off. And until we meet again, you know the rest.